How's it to go into a week knowing you're going to have Cooper and Puka in the fold as opposed to not being sure how?
Yeah. It's good. As many reps as I can get with those guys, and really all of our guys can get, the better. Yeah, like you said, I mean, we only had, one kind of Friday-ish practice last week, with Coop getting some run there and Puka as well. So, the more reps, the better. Offense is so much about timing and rhythm and, anticipation and trust and all those kind of things, and that's built through time on the field and practice. So the more of that we can get, the better.
Was that the last game, first pass, Puka drops, you come back to him on the next play, if I'm not mistaken?
Mm-hmm.
Is that because that was scripted, or that because you're going back to him?
No. It's a little bit situation dependent, to be honest with you. Had we caught the first, completed the first one, I bet you the second call is not that. Not going to get too far into it, but yes. The way the first play ended, I was not ultimately surprised that we went right back to him with a similar type play.
As outdoor stadiums go, Seattle seems one of the louder ones.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about that environment? What's challenging about that?
Yeah, I mean, what you like about it is that it is a challenge. It's difficult to go and communicate there. Every time I've ever played there, it's been rocking and rolling. I expect it to be no different this week. I'm hoping we're going to catch decent weather. It looks like it's another element sometimes at that place, but no, it's always a tough environment to go play. You obviously got to go play their team, but having to try to communicate in that noise is definitely a challenge and something that we've been working on for a long time, and we'll continue to work on this week.
Obviously, different personnel and different teams, but what stands out about Mike McDonald's defense and what he's doing with the Seahawks, and how does that maybe compare to your experience facing the Ravens and what he was doing there last year?
Yeah, I think like any good coach, I think he's trying to, figure out what his guys do best. It's a personnel-driven league. What do you have? Who can do what? And then you go try to build that, scheme around it. Are there some similarities? Yes. Is it the exact same? No. Just like you would expect. I think they've got talented players really at all three levels again, and obviously, familiar with some of their guys. So it'll be a big challenge for us.
As you get your full complement of weapons back, how much easier does it make life for you?
It's still a difficult game, but definitely, those guys are talented players. They're, Coop and Puka have done a lot of great things in this league, and we're happy to have them. Both, throwing the ball down the field, but also their ability to create after the catch, is really valuable for us as well. So, anytime you can have, as many good players as you can possibly have, the better.
Everybody does it differently, but what do you notice about how Puka is pregame?
Sometimes I don't know where he's at, to be honest with you. He takes like one pat and go, maybe sometimes he doesn't. I frankly don't know what he's doing. But you know what? When the ball's snapped, he's ready to rock and roll. And I've played with enough guys in this league that all do it very different. And some guys are very regimented, other guys are not. And, I just know that when the lights come on, the ball snaps, his energy is always high, his competes are always high, and that helps us out.
Can you speak on your mettle and your grit, putting the team on your back against Minnesota and bringing home victory?
No, I mean, I think it was a great team win, really. I thought our defense played fantastic against a really talented group. I thought, special teams, when we needed to make plays, we did. Great punt there at the end of the game to keep them backed up, and then our defense closed it out. And on offense, we just executed the plays that were called, did enough, scoring to have the game in our hand at the end of it. But that was a total team effort, man. It was great complimentary football, and we got to go out there and prove it every week like we do. But it was a nice one to get. Yeah, definitely. It's nice, knowing that we got a Sunday game and knowing we don't have, one on Thursday right after that. So, hopefully we can go out there, attack this day with a bunch of, competitiveness and passion and get ready for, another good game.
Thank you. Have you noticed, back to Puka, him as he grows and you watch him kind of grow up a little bit and as an adult, channel his emotions into maybe more compartmentalization during a game?
Yeah, I mean, he had some issues last year, missing some drives early. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he'd go score a touchdown on the first drive, and then I think he'd get so fired up he'd be throwing up in the trash can and miss the second drive. So that didn't happen the other night, which is good. Hopefully we can keep that streak going. But no, he loves the game. He loves being out there. He loves performing and playing hard and doing all that kind of stuff. And we feed off that energy, and it's great for us. But at the same time, he knows he's got to be in there as many snaps as he can for us. So we'll see if we can keep that one going.
Puka's obviously an important target in the passing game, but what do you see from him, kind of the blocking he's doing and his enthusiasm?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had a big one on the 4th down play, in the game. But there's plenty of snaps that I think he, Kupp, D-Rob had a really nice game blocking as well in the screen game and in the run game. So, those guys on the perimeter, it's a thankless thing to go out there and block, in some of those situations. And sometimes it's tough to block guys in space, but it's a want-to mentality, and those guys have it. And, it creates plays for all of us, right? It creates plays in the run game. Sometimes we have those guys chipping on defensive ends, whatever it is. Those guys embrace the physicality and the physical part of the game that makes us better.
What do you thought about the way that Beaux has handled making the IDs of the line of scrimmage the last 2 weeks against the Raiders?
He's done a nice job. It's something we're in constant communication with. Try to keep the plans concise and understand, easy to digest and understand. And then, out there in the game, there's times where he's taking over and going, which is great, and sometimes where we have a little bit of dialogue up there, and all that's great. It's a team effort. Nobody's right, wrong, different. We're just trying to be all on the same page. As long as we do that, we'll be good. So I thought he's done a hell of a job, and the mental part of it aside, I think he's playing physically really well as well.
Two-part question in order. Is it an advantage or disadvantage facing Ernest Jones this week on the other side? And is Jared Verse as chatty with you as he is with opposing players?
As far as Ernest goes, I couldn't say either, right? I think he's new in that system. Played a bunch of snaps last week. So I know who he is as a player, physically really talented, mentally and emotionally really gifted. Love being a teammate with him, have a ton of respect for who he is as a person and as a player. I don't think there's any disadvantage or advantage. I just know it's a challenge going against him. After going against him for years in practice. And then as far as Verse goes, when he first got here, he was pretty chatty. He loves to compete. He's an aggressive dude. He's come to understand what it is to practice on an NFL football field with your teammates and then go save all that energy up that he really wants to chirp at us, in practice and go let it loose on Sunday. So I think he does a good job.
Two guys that are tasked with blocking Limmer and Dedich. Well, can you talk to me about their chemistry and what you're seeing out of them? And then second part question, I know you play baseball. What's your take about the Dodgers right now?
Okay. First question, I think, Beaux and Dedich are doing a really nice job, like I said earlier. But 2 young guys that, were forced into a role, given the opportunity and have done a really nice job of, executing at a high level, which is a tough thing to do, as a young player in this league, especially up front. As far as baseball goes, obviously I'm pulling for the Dodgers. Got a little out of hand late last night, but it was close there for a while. So hopefully they can get it done. I selfishly would like them to get it done here, but anytime they get it done is all right with me.
Hey guys. Okay, from an injury perspective, Cam Curl, Jordan Whittington will be limited. Joe Noteboom will be full. And then Gallimore had a little bit of a stinger. He'll be a guy that, he will not participate today as a result of that shoulder and neck, and his status will be in doubt for this game.
Do you expect anything from Jonah, Steve, John this week?
Not this week. Don't expect any changes in their status. Until I do.
What do you say about Ryan Wendell, his ability to get this offensive line, playing well and against 2 complicated defenses coming out of the
Yeah, he's done a really good job. Obviously a really smart, conscientious player. You look at really, he had a chance to learn under Aaron Cromer, who has a history here, who, we worked really well together. And, then you come here, and last year I thought he did a tremendous job and got a great way with the guys, to be able to communicate, to connect with them, to be able to teach. And he's got an incredible humility, where he's always learning. He's always asking questions, even though most of the questions he knows what the answers are. He has a very strong opinion on what it should look like. And I think going into year 2, you talk about experiencing a lot of adversity. And it really started from the very beginning of training camp. And, we had invested in a lot of guys. A lot of guys have been out, and we've navigated through as many, if not more, injuries than ever before at this point in the season. I know 22 was unique, but I've been really impressed. And he's just very steady, and he's even-keeled. Really been impressed with the improvement of some of the younger players, his ability to lean on those veteran players like a Rob Havenstein. You look at the development and how well Alaric Jackson has played. Kevin Dotson in his second year with us, and then you see Beaux Limmer and you see Justin Dedich in there and what those guys have done. So a ton of credit goes to Wendy on that, and also Zach Cromer and Mike Munchak.
Demarcus Robinson kind of joked with us after the game saying, yeah, I'm a good player too. What is it about when you get Cooper and Puka back that he seems to have more opportunity or single coverage?
Yeah, well, I would say this. He's always been a really good player, and I thought what he did a great job of is I was really just as impressed with the 2 catches that everybody sees that go for touchdowns, what he did without the ball. I thought he competed well without the ball. I thought he was working good edges when he was running routes and the ball didn't go his way, but I think we saw that emergence from Demarcus last year, and it really started, I would say Cleveland was the game where he really made his presence felt, and he's had a lot of positive momentum since then, and he's become a guy that Matthew and him have a really, huge amount of trust with one another. I do think that when you can get guys settled into spots that they're comfortable with, that's where they thrive. And so when you bring 2 guys back and he's in more consistent positions than what he's accustomed to, I don't think it's by coincidence, but it's also a credit to his work, his ability to just continue to stay the course. And, you look at, he's on the backside of one of those progressions, does a great job of understanding the timing and rhythm. And then we're running a concept there where he does a great job winning on his release. Ball gets up and down, gets the PI, and still is able to finish. And then he had a pretty cool celebration. I don't know what the heck was going on right there, but he was excited, and so was his teammates.
Coach, as you get the full complement of your pass catchers back, how much more dynamic can this offense be, and how does it alleviate some of the pressure in terms of play calling?
Well, anytime that you get those guys back, it's a big deal. And I think it enables not only, obviously, Puka and Cooper are outstanding players, but it enables other guys to be able to, be at their best in their roles that they're playing, where maybe you're not being asked to play 60 snaps, but if you're playing 30 to 40 and what that does. But those guys, they're tremendous players, so they make us a lot better. They take a lot of stress off. I mean, you look at, I want to say Puka, had a bunch of yards after the catch, obviously on the screen, a couple screens, and then one on the in cut that he caught, but he does a great job. And then Cooper, it was a big 3rd down catch that he ended up making to extend a drive, to be able to continue to run off some different clock. And that was a trust throw between he and Matthew. So I think everybody was elevated by those guys being available, and we want to continue to go in that direction.
Coach, can you speak?
You are a very routine-oriented person, so for you, when you were learning about how Puka navigates his pregame routine, what was that like for you to learn more about that? And
Yeah.
how do you navigate that with your coaches now?
Yeah, Yarbs does a good job. I try not to get too immersed in the warm-ups. My involvement in the warm-ups is, all right, making sure that we set the tempo for what it looks like with all the new assistants that it seems like we have every year. And then I come out a little bit later, and there's some different, he's settled into a more consistent routine, but when it was funny because Nate Shieldhouse was made aware, you're saying, where's Puka? And then you look behind the goalpost and you say, all right, that's where he is. And Yarbs had kind of already given him the heads up. Hey, you just let him go to whatever that dark place is and you leave him alone, and he'll be ready to go by the time the ball kicks off.
Coach, can you speak on the success of the team's next man up mentality and being one spot out of first place in the division?
Well, there's a lot of football left. What I've been proud of is the way that we've navigated through a lot of different things in 7 weeks. And obviously we had a slow start. We've got some positive momentum that the guys have built up right now, but it's just 2 games. And so that you're getting an incredibly hungry, really, disciplined, well-coached team. A lot of players that we're very familiar with in a tough road atmosphere. So we got to have a great week of preparation. It is our 8th game, and we're going to do whatever we can to try to have a great week and then go put together a good performance on Sunday. But I've been proud of the team's ability to be able to show some resilience, to show some mental toughness, to develop some depth, that sometimes is forced upon you. And I think it's made guys better, and it stretches you in ways that while they might not be comfortable at the time, growth does occur. And when you look back on it, I think you can appreciate it a lot more than sometimes when you're in the midst of it.
You're going to see Ernest Jones again. How has the decision to trade him worked out? Because right before the season, trade your defensive signal caller. It seems like it comes with risks. So how's it worked out?
Yeah, here's what I would say. I think, I've been pleased with what some of the things that guys have done. It'd be hard to deny the production that he's had when you look at what he's done at Tennessee and even just in his first week there last week. So he's a great player, Greg, and he did a lot of good things for us. I think all the decisions that we make in the moment we feel like are in the best interest. I'm not going to pretend to act like every decision is accurate, and you try to be able to learn from it and apply it moving forward. But that you're playing against a really well-respected player, mentally, physically tough. Seems like he's always around the football, and so I wish him well. It's going to be a great challenge going against him.
Coach, is that going to be strange going against the Seahawks without Pete Carroll on the other side?
Yeah, he's a guy that I've always watched from afar, Gary, and just had tremendous respect for the way that he led. In a lot of ways, we tried to mimic and emulate a lot of the things that they believed in terms of his culture, his consistent, authentic enthusiasm, the energy that he brought, the competitive spirit, being at your best when your best is required. And so it will be different. I mean, and he's a legend. And, he's a guy that, like I said, I've looked up to for a long time. And you guys know there's a ton of respect that I have for Mike McDonald. You look at what he's done in a short amount of time in this league, made his impact, earned the right to be a head coach. And when you flip on their tape, you see, his identity on this football team. They've obviously got some challenging things that they present on the offensive side of the ball as well. And so it'll be different just because that's all you knew for the 7 years that I was here before this year, going against Seattle and what they've been. But they're a damn good football team, and Mike McDonald's a really good coach.
Coach, you already highlighted the offensive line and their fortitude. The two young guys, Dedich and Limmer, what impresses you about their game?
I think when you look at Beaux, he's thrust into a role that's really challenging. We ask a lot of that center, especially as it relates to the communication. And in a lot of instances, we have been in absence of our verbal communication. And so it's a lot of the visual communication. It's making sure that there's an understanding, working that rapport with not only your guards, but also with Matthew. And so been pleased with the improvement. I think he's getting a better ownership of how that communication is so key and critical to provide clarity for the players around him. I think he's physically shown a lot of improvement, especially as it relates to pass protection. He's young and strong, and he's got a really good lower half strength where he can get vertical removal on some of the double teams. But I think he's shown improvement in protection. And then with Dedich, stepping in the last couple games starting, he's a tough competitor. You could see he's got good instincts and awareness, understands how to anticipate movement when that picture changes in front of you. And I think he's been really productive in both phases. So been proud of those guys.
Sean,
I know that you and Dave Roberts have been friends for a long time. Any texts going back and forth since the World Series?
Oh, yeah. I tried to let the dust settle a couple days after they won the pennant. He and I have always, it seems like our tenures kind of coincide with one another. I got connected with him when I first got out here with John, through John Gordon. And Dave, similar to what I was saying with Pete Carroll. I mean, you talk about all the right things, the way that he leads, what his teams stand for, the values and principles at which he leads and how he operates. I love Dave Roberts. And so really happy for the position that they're in. I sent him, we texted back and forth before they started this series, and looking forward to seeing if we can get one more and go close it out. But really happy for Dave.
Coach, can you speak to us on your 80th win and what it's like to become the winningest coach in Rams franchise history?
Yeah, it's special. It's special because you think about all the memories and all the people that have been a part of that journey. And it's been, sometimes it seems like a long 7.5 years, and sometimes it seems like it's a short 7.5 years. But it's all a blessing, and it's all about those relationships that are formed in the midst of that journey. And so I think about, how fortunate and blessed I've been with the many people that have put their arm around me and helped me grow, with the many players and coaches and staff members that I've been around. And so, hopefully we'll continue to be able to add to that. But it was special. And for that to happen on my son's first birthday, that was the coolest. Felt like a little God wink right there for you. So that was pretty special. Okay? Thanks, guys.